So, my case study or my research group was conducted at our local public library because it's not during the school year. I reserved a room in order to do the teaching as well as kind of test out um, just sort of what a makerspace, a space within a classroom that was designed for students to construct artifacts, what that would look like. So I did this in two stages. Stage one, I had 4 students total, and 3 of those students were my former students from this past school year. The fourth student was my son. He also finished the same grade. So in stage one, they were all 8 years old and all just having finished second grade. Again, three of which were my own students. I did a reading strategy that I had tried out this past school year that I found to be very effective and I knew the students would be familiar with. And what I do is I pre-select a bunch of texts, so books from the library, picture books, and because nonfiction I think is a little bit easier to conduct this research, the genre of nonfiction I thought would be a little bit easier to take data on and make correlations and connections and draw conclusions. So the nonfiction topic that I chose was the moon. And so I chose various books on various reading levels, all of which had real pictures, real facts, obviously. And I give the students a post-it note. They go and choose a book because I had them all set up around the perimeter of the room that we were in. They take their sticky note, they read, the book's just open. They don't flip through the pages at all. The book's open, they read through it and lift what they feel is the most important fact, write it on to the post-it. And then when we come to circle time, this time they were holding their fact, and if they had extra time, I put the post-its where they could access an extra one. And 2 students did that. One student wrote down 3 facts, one student wrote down 2 facts. And we came to circle time. Everyone shared their facts. I facilitated the conversation. I did not offer any teaching on the moon. And we had not really studied the moon this past year, and I knew that. So I knew this would be pretty new learning. And I wanted to see how quickly they assimilated it. And so they taught each other and they shared their facts, and it was really cool to see how that kind of springboarded the rest of the lesson. So once we were finished with our group discussion, I took them to the tables where I had set up different art mediums. They came to the tables. I explained to them what each one was. They were familiar with using watercolor because we had tried different techniques in the classroom this past year. And then I had other options available to them that they were also familiar with: colored pencils and regular charcoal pencils, and had these little wooden discs that I just found them around my house, and I thought, oh, these would be perfect to do phases of the moon if a student sees that and decides to do that. But instead of using those, they used the discs for a different material, different purpose. All 4 of the students in stage 1 chose art clay as their medium, and they immediately started forming a sphere, the shape of a moon. And it was interesting listening to them talk. Not a lot of the talk was about the things they had read or about academic things, about the moon, but they were teaching each other different techniques. And inherent in what they were doing was incorporating and assimilating the facts that they just had learned less than 10 minutes prior. One student was taking the back of a pencil and pushing craters, and he was helping another student do the same technique, and they were talking about the craters. And then he was carving the footprint because that was one of the facts, that there still remains a footprint on the moon untouched from 1969 when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. So they learned all of that and incorporated that in the texture of the moon, the shape of the moon, in stage one. And so we brought our artifacts back at the end, and we reflected on what our artifacts represented and the different features that we incorporated. And the students knew that they were going to dry for 2 days, and we would meet back for stage two on Wednesday. So